Did you know that the secret to turning your greatest wounds into your deepest strength was discovered over 2,000 years ago? The ancients knew something we've forgotten in our modern noise, that peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in the stillness we cultivate within them. Imagine this. Life hurls its worst at you. Betrayal, loss, failure, rejection. Most people break. They let the storm define them. But the Stoics taught us something different. They revealed that within every human being lies a fortress no wind, no chaos, no tragedy can tear down. That fortress is the disciplined mind. That fortress is you, untouched, unbroken, unshaken. But here's the raw truth. Every day you surrender that fortress. You hand over your peace to circumstances you cannot control, to people who do not value it, to emotions that rise and fall like the tides. You let anger steer your choices, fear poison your clarity, and disappointment weaken your resolve. And the question that demands to be asked is this: why? Why allow life's uncontrollable storms to dictate your destiny, when Stoic wisdom shows us the way to mastery, the way to rise above reaction, above chaos, above every fleeting passion, and anchor ourselves in what is eternal, our reason, our virtue, our will. The Stoics did not promise a life without pain. They promised something far greater, the ability to suffer without surrender, to lose without being lost, to face the fire and still stand unburned. That is not just philosophy, it is freedom. So if you are tired of drifting like a passenger in your own life, if you are ready to take the wheel and steer yourself toward unshakable calm, then this path is for you. This is about more than learning, it's about transformation. About reclaiming your mind from the chaos of the world and living in alignment with your highest self. The invitation is simple. Step onto this path of self-mastery. Commit not to comfort, but to growth. Not to the fleeting, but to the eternal. If you're ready to embrace that shift, to become stronger than the storm itself, then walk with me. Together, we'll return to the wisdom that has endured for centuries, and in doing so, we'll uncover the strength that was always within you. 1. Focus on what you can control. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us when we least expect it. We've all been there, stressed out, rushing, trying to get everything done, and then, bam, something goes wrong. Maybe it's a traffic jam when you're already running late, or a comment on social media that hits you like a punch in the gut. It feels like the universe is out to get you, doesn't it? But here's the thing that might surprise you. You can't control most of what happens in life. The traffic, the weather, the people around you, they're all beyond your control. But the one thing you do control 100% is your reaction. This is where Stoicism comes in. The ancient Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, believed that the key to peace and happiness lies in focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. It's a simple idea, but one that can completely shift the way you navigate life's challenges. It's not the traffic, the negativity, or the chaos around you that's causing your stress. It's how you choose to respond. Think about that next time you're stuck in traffic. Do you let your blood pressure rise, getting angrier with each passing minute? Or do you take a deep breath, shift your mindset, and use the time productively? It's all up to you. When you focus on what's in your control, your thoughts, your mindset, your actions, you take back the power that you might have unknowingly handed over to everything around you. Carl Jung believed that our responses to external events shape who we are, not the events themselves. So, every time you face something that seems out of your control, remember that your reaction is the one thing you get to choose. The next time you find yourself stuck somewhere, frustrated by what's happening, pause. Take a deep breath. Acknowledge that you can't change the external situation, and then shift your focus inward. Can you use that time to think clearly, listen to something positive, or even relax? You absolutely can. And in doing so, you regain control over your peace of mind, which is something no traffic jam can ever take away. When we embrace this Stoic principle, we start to build emotional resilience. Imagine facing life's challenges not with anger or frustration, but with calm acceptance. It's like having a shield around your peace of mind. And yes, this takes practice. You won't always get it right, but with time, it becomes easier. Just think of the long-term impact. Less stress, more clarity, and the ability to focus on what matters instead of letting life's little hiccups throw you off course. You learn to keep your eyes on the road ahead, both literally and metaphorically. Now, let's take this idea of focusing on what's in your control and apply it to another area of life: our relationships. How often do we get upset because someone said something that we didn't like, or someone didn't act the way we expected? We can't control other people's behavior, but we can control how we respond to it. Here's the thing: you can't change the actions of others, but you can choose how you engage with them. If someone cuts you off in traffic, for example, you can choose whether to react with anger or let it slide. When someone at work or in your personal life says something that rubs you the wrong way, you get to decide whether to react emotionally or respond with understanding. While we can't change other people's behavior or the world around us, we have complete power over our own minds. By focusing on what's in our control, our thoughts, reactions, and actions, we reclaim the strength that's rightfully ours. It's not easy, especially when someone pushes our buttons, but the practice of Stoicism teaches us to respond to others with empathy and self-control, rather than letting their actions determine our mood. Imagine how different your relationships would be if you could consistently respond with calmness and clarity instead of reacting impulsively. You'd be able to navigate disagreements more effectively, maintain your peace even in tense situations, and most importantly, stop letting others take away your inner calm. This shift doesn't just make you feel better, it strengthens your relationships by making you a more stable and thoughtful presence in the lives of others. Here's where the power of Stoicism really comes to life, in how it shapes our everyday interactions. By learning to focus on what we can control, we're also learning to become more mindful of our responses. And this isn't just some abstract, feel-good philosophy. There's a practical side to it. For instance, next time you're overwhelmed with everything on your to-do list, instead of letting it all pile up and create anxiety, take a moment to focus on the task at hand. Ask yourself, what can I control right now? What's the next step? By taking small, manageable actions instead of trying to control everything all at once, you not only reduce stress, but also become more effective in tackling your goals. The Stoics teach us that we don't need to be perfect. In fact, they believe that perfection is not the goal. The goal is progress. Small steps every day lead to big changes. It's about taking responsibility for what's in your control, doing your best, and letting go of everything else. It's the opposite of being a perfectionist. It's about realizing that some things are simply beyond your reach, and once you accept that, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control everything around you. Carl Jung had an insightful take on this when he said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." When we accept that we can't control everything around us, we stop projecting our frustrations onto others. We begin to see the world for what it is, full of imperfections and uncertainties, and learn to navigate it with a sense of clarity and control. This shift in perspective is what allows you to stop reacting negatively and start responding thoughtfully. So, what does this all mean for you right here, right now? It means taking responsibility for your own peace. You might not be able to control what happens at work, or the frustrations of daily life, or the behavior of the people around you, but you can control how you react. And by consistently choosing calm, mindfulness, and clarity, you create a life that is less chaotic and more centered. That's not a small thing, it's a game changer. Stoicism doesn't promise that life will be free of obstacles or frustrations, but what it does promise is that by focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your reactions, and your mindset, you'll be able to navigate those obstacles with grace and strength. This principle alone can transform the way you experience life. Imagine facing setbacks without feeling defeated, navigating tough situations without feeling overwhelmed. It's possible, and it starts with understanding this simple but profound Stoic lesson. Focus on what you can control and let go of everything else. 2. Embrace the obstacle. It's easy to get discouraged when life throws you a curveball. Whether it's a job rejection, a difficult conversation, or something unexpected that turns your plans upside down, the initial instinct is often to ask, why me? It's like the universe is conspiring against you, and you can't help but feel frustrated. But what if I told you that this mindset, while natural, is exactly what keeps you stuck? What if the very obstacles that seem to block your path are actually the things that could propel you forward in ways you never expected? This is exactly what the Stoics believed when they said, "The obstacle is the way." This might sound counterintuitive at first, but once you understand it, it can completely change the way you approach life's challenges. The Stoics didn't see obstacles as mere hurdles to jump over or problems to solve. Instead, they saw obstacles as opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation. Think about it. Every setback, every failure, and every difficult moment is a chance to test your resilience. It's a moment to dig deeper and find strength you didn't know you had. When things don't go as planned, you're forced to adapt. You're forced to think creatively, to reframe your perspective, and to discover new ways to approach life's challenges. That's where growth happens. It's in the struggle, not in the smooth sailing. When you face an obstacle, try to shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on how unfair it is or how much it hurts, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? That simple shift in perspective can change everything. It allows you to approach the situation with curiosity instead of frustration, with the mindset of a learner rather than a victim. When you stop seeing obstacles as something to avoid or resent and start seeing them as opportunities to grow, you take back control. You turn a setback into a setup for something better, and isn't that a more empowering way to live? Our perception shapes our reality. If you see a rejection as a reflection of your worth, it will hurt deeply, but if you see it as a stepping stone on the path to something better, you can approach it with resilience and clarity. This doesn't mean pretending the setback doesn't hurt. It just means acknowledging the pain while recognizing that it doesn't define you. Your response to the obstacle is what truly matters. Carl Jung echoed this sentiment when he said, "What you resist persists." In other words, fighting against the obstacles in your life only makes them stronger. The more you resist something, the more it has control over you. On the other hand, if you can learn to embrace the obstacle, to accept it and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? You reclaim your power. Obstacles then become opportunities to expand your understanding of yourself and the world around you. You stop being passive in the face of adversity and start becoming an active participant in your own growth. This shift from resistance to acceptance is where true transformation happens. Let's take an example to make this more concrete. Imagine you've just been passed over for a promotion at work. The initial reaction might be anger, disappointment, and even a bit of bitterness. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, I wasn't good enough. This is unfair. Why does this always happen to me? But what if, instead of letting that frustration take over, you stopped and asked yourself, what can I learn from this? Maybe there's feedback you can take to heart, areas where you can improve, or skills you need to develop. Maybe the job you didn't get is actually a blessing in disguise, pushing you toward a better opportunity down the road. When you choose to embrace the obstacle, you shift from a passive reaction to a proactive mindset where every challenge is a chance to grow. The Stoics didn't just talk about embracing obstacles, they lived it. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about how to face challenges with grace and wisdom in his meditations. He often reflected on how obstacles were an integral part of life and how they should be embraced as opportunities to refine our character. He believed that obstacles weren't just external problems, they were internal challenges that tested our resolve, our patience, and our wisdom. The impediment to action advances action, he said. In other words, what stands in the way of your progress isn't something to avoid. It's what pushes you to move forward, to find new paths, and to become better than you were before. This mindset isn't just about intellectual understanding, it's about putting it into practice. Every day we face challenges, big and small, and every day we have the choice to either see them as setbacks or as opportunities. A difficult conversation with a friend, a frustrating work deadline, or a personal disappointment. Each of these moments presents an opportunity to grow. When we embrace the obstacle, we not only grow stronger in the face of adversity, but we also build resilience and wisdom that will serve us in future challenges. It's not easy to change your perspective, especially when the obstacle feels overwhelming, but the Stoics teach us that this shift is the key to living a life of purpose and meaning. It's in overcoming the obstacles that we build the qualities that make us truly resilient. Patience, courage, perseverance, and wisdom. The more we embrace obstacles, the more we see that they're not things to fear or avoid, but things to embrace. They are the raw material from which we carve our character and our destiny. Take a moment to reflect on the challenges in your own life. Are there any that you've been resisting or resenting? Are there obstacles you've been avoiding because they feel too hard, too painful, or too unfair? What if you could change your perspective and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What if you could see every setback as an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, and to move closer to your goals? By embracing the obstacle, you shift from being at the mercy of life's circumstances to becoming an active participant in shaping your own story. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoic thought is its ability to help us see the world through a lens of acceptance, not resistance. When you accept that obstacles are a natural part of life, you stop seeing them as something to be feared and start seeing them as something to be used. They become tools for growth rather than sources of frustration. And by embracing them, you cultivate a mindset of strength and resilience that will carry you through even the toughest times. It's not just about mental toughness either. Embracing obstacles can help you emotionally too. It allows you to move through challenges with grace and without losing your sense of self. You stop being so attached to outcomes and start focusing on the process. You begin to see that the journey itself is just as valuable, if not more so, than the destination. Every obstacle you face is a part of that journey, a part of your growth. By embracing the challenge, you learn to savor the process and to find meaning in every experience, even the difficult ones. In the end, the Stoic principle of embracing the obstacle teaches us that we are never truly defeated as long as we continue to learn and grow. Life will never stop throwing challenges our way, but when we approach those challenges with the mindset of the obstacle is the way, we turn each setback into a step forward. We stop waiting for life to be easy, and instead, we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient with every obstacle we face. So the next time life throws a challenge your way, remember, it's not a roadblock, it's an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to build the life you truly want. By embracing the obstacle, you're not just surviving life's challenges, you're thriving through them. 3. Live in the present moment. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night thinking about everything you need to do tomorrow or worrying about something that happened last week? It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of the future or the weight of the past, isn't it? We've all done it. Stress about what might happen, regret over what already has. But here's the truth. All that worrying is happening in your head, not in the present moment. And the present moment, as it turns out, is all we ever really have. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They taught that in order to live a fulfilling life, we need to focus on the here and now. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or the past. It means acknowledging them, but not letting them control you. The future is important. Of course, you plan for it, set goals, dream big. But when you're constantly thinking about it, you miss what's happening right in front of you. The same goes for the past. It's easy to get stuck in regret or guilt over mistakes we've made, but the past is gone. It's not something we can change. What we can change is how we approach today. This simple shift in focus can have a massive impact on our mental well-being. When we stop letting the future or the past dominate our thoughts, we can truly experience life in a richer, more meaningful way. Imagine this. You're sitting down to a meal. It's easy to shovel food into your mouth while scrolling through your phone, thinking about what's coming up later. But what if instead, you really focused on the meal in front of you? The smell, the taste, the texture, everything? Suddenly, eating becomes an experience, not just a task. This is living in the present moment. It's about giving your full attention to whatever you're doing, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Think about a conversation you're having with a friend or family member. How often do we listen but not really listen? Our minds drift to what we're going to say next, or what's coming up later in the day. But when you really listen, without distractions, without thinking ahead, you create a deeper connection. You become more present, more connected to the person in front of you. This is the heart of Stoicism, being fully present in every moment. The Stoics believed that by focusing on the present, we can cultivate inner peace and clarity because it's only in the present that we have the power to act. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The fewer distractions and desires we allow ourselves, the more we can enjoy what's right in front of us. The problem is, our culture doesn't really encourage living in the present. We're constantly told to plan ahead, to always be thinking about the next thing. It's no wonder we're all so stressed out. Our minds are like overactive machines, constantly jumping from one thought to the next. But here's the thing, this constant future chasing and past worrying only adds to our stress. It creates a kind of mental clutter that keeps us from experiencing life as it actually is. Living in the present moment isn't just a mental exercise. It's about shifting your entire approach to life. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. Think about how many times you've spent an entire day thinking about the things you need to do without actually doing them. Or how many times you've let your mind wander to the past or the future when you should have been focusing on the task at hand. By choosing to live in the present, you take back control over your life. Instead of letting your thoughts dictate your actions, you allow yourself to be fully present with whatever you're doing. This doesn't just make life more enjoyable, it makes it more productive too. The beauty of living in the present moment is that it helps you find joy in the little things. Instead of waiting for some grand event or future achievement to bring happiness, you start finding satisfaction in everyday experiences. Whether it's enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning or laughing with friends over dinner, these moments are what make life meaningful. It's easy to overlook them when we're always thinking about what's next. But when we choose to slow down and be present, we realize how much beauty there is in the here and now. This idea of being present is not just some fluffy philosophy. It's grounded in practical wisdom that can change how we experience the world. The Stoics knew that our thoughts and emotions are incredibly powerful. They shape our reality. If we're always thinking about what's next or regretting what's past, we miss out on the richness of life as it happens. But when we make the choice to focus on the present, we put ourselves in a position to respond to life with clarity and purpose. This kind of focus creates a sense of peace because it removes the mental noise that often clouds our judgment. Imagine how different your day would be if you could stay present throughout it. Instead of rushing through everything, checking off items on your to-do list while thinking about the next task, you focus on the moment in front of you. You give your full attention to each person you talk to, each task you perform, and each decision you make. Not only will you feel more at peace, but you'll also make better choices. This is the power of the present moment. It allows you to show up as your best self, fully engaged and clear-headed. But let's be honest, living in the present moment is easier said than done. We live in a world that's constantly pulling our attention in a million directions. Our phones, social media, and the pressures of daily life make it hard to stay focused on the here and now. But the good news is it's a practice. Just like any skill, it takes time and effort to get better at being present. Start small. Try focusing on one task at a time instead of multitasking. Take a few minutes each day to sit in silence and clear your mind. Practice mindfulness by paying attention to your breath or the sensations in your body. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to stay present in your day-to-day life. You'll also find that living in the present moment helps you manage stress more effectively. When you stop worrying about what might happen or what has already happened, you're able to face challenges with more calm and clarity. Instead of getting overwhelmed by the future or the past, you can take things one step at a time. This isn't about avoiding stress. It's about learning how to manage it by focusing on what's within your control, the present moment. Living in the present moment also allows you to make deeper connections with the people around you. When you're truly present, you listen better, you engage more fully, and you appreciate the people in your life in ways you might have missed before. Instead of thinking about what you need to do next, you can be there for the people you care about, offering them your full attention and presence. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also deepens your sense of fulfillment. In conclusion, living in the present moment isn't just a nice idea, it's a powerful practice that can change the way you experience life. By focusing on what's in front of you, Rather than getting lost in the past or the future, you can find more peace, joy, and clarity in your day-to-day life. This practice allows you to fully engage with the world around you and embrace each moment as it comes. So the next time you catch yourself worrying about what's ahead or what's behind, remind yourself to focus on the present. The present is where life happens, and it's the only moment you truly have. 4. Practice self-discipline. There's a lot of talk about self-discipline these days, isn't there? We hear it everywhere. On social media, in motivational speeches, and even in our own minds. But what does self-discipline really mean? It's often seen as this rigid, almost joyless concept, like you're some kind of robot who never gets to indulge in anything fun. We picture someone who's always sticking to a strict schedule, turning down treats, and putting in hours of work without ever taking a break. But that's not what self-discipline is about. In fact, self-discipline isn't about depriving yourself of enjoyment. It's about making conscious, thoughtful choices that align with your long-term goals, not just your immediate desires. It's about choosing what's right over what's easy, even when it feels uncomfortable. The Stoics had a powerful way of thinking about self-discipline. For them, it wasn't about suppressing desires entirely. It was about learning to control them. The Stoics understood that life is filled with distractions, temptations, short-term pleasures, and instant gratifications that pull us away from what's truly important. But if we're not careful, these fleeting desires can lead us off course. The real challenge is in learning to say no to the things that derail us from our long-term goals. Whether it's skipping the gym for a Netflix binge or impulsively buying things we don't need, these small decisions add up. It's in these moments that self-discipline is tested. Think about the last time you were faced with a choice. Maybe it was getting up early to work out or hitting the snooze button. Maybe it was deciding to spend time on a personal project instead of scrolling through social media. In these moments, self-discipline is the deciding factor. It's not about saying no to fun or pleasure. It's about making a choice that serves you in the long run, even if it feels tough in the moment. Self-discipline is about taking control of your actions and recognizing that your choices shape your future. And that doesn't mean you have to live a boring, restricted life. It just means you're learning to balance immediate gratification with long-term growth. Self-discipline is deeply tied to self-awareness. It's about understanding who you are, what you truly value, and what you want out of life. When you practice self-discipline, you're essentially saying, I know what's good for me, even when my impulses try to steer me in a different direction. In that sense, self-discipline isn't about fighting who you are. It's about aligning your actions with your deeper values and long-term aspirations. It's about becoming the person you want to be, not just indulging in the momentary pleasures that might feel good right now but hold you back later. It's also important to recognize that self-discipline isn't something that comes naturally to everyone. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Real freedom comes from having control over yourself and your actions. This is where the power of self-discipline lies, in learning to direct your energy toward what matters most, instead of being swept away by the whims of momentary desires. It's about mastering your impulses, not letting them master you. And this takes time. It takes constant small actions that add up. One of the best ways to build self-discipline is through consistency. It's not about making huge, grandiose changes all at once. It's about making small, steady improvements. Every time you choose to skip that extra snack or decide to tackle a challenging task instead of procrastinating, you're building self-discipline. And with each choice, you become stronger. Over time, these small decisions compound, creating a new habit that reinforces itself. This is how the Stoics lived. They practiced self-discipline in small, everyday actions. Whether it was practicing mindfulness, avoiding distractions, or making thoughtful decisions, their philosophy was rooted in the idea that it's the small, consistent efforts that lead to real transformation. In fact, Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This quote speaks directly to the heart of self-discipline. It's about the small, repeated actions that make you who you are. Excellence doesn't come from a single moment of brilliance. It comes from daily commitment, from choosing what's right over what's easy, time and time again. If you want to be someone who is strong, disciplined, and successful, you have to embody those qualities every day, in every decision, no matter how small. Each act of self-discipline builds your character and reinforces your capacity for growth. Now, let's talk about how self-discipline impacts your goals. Most of us have dreams, big dreams, whether it's starting a business, writing a book, or getting in shape. We all have something we want to achieve. But here's the thing. Dreams don't come true by simply wishing for them. They come true by taking consistent, disciplined action. The problem is, our minds are constantly pulled towards short-term pleasures. It's easy to get distracted by the immediate rewards, like watching TV or scrolling through your phone. But self-discipline is about setting clear boundaries and choosing the long-term rewards instead. It's about recognizing that the satisfaction you get from achieving your goals is far greater than the fleeting pleasure of giving into distractions. Think about it. If you want to run a marathon, you can't just hope that one day you'll wake up and magically be able to run 26 miles. It takes consistent effort, training every day, pushing through the discomfort, staying committed even when you don't feel like it. The same applies to any goal you set for yourself. Self-discipline is the driving force that keeps you on track when the going gets tough. And it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Even on the days when you don't feel like it, the act of showing up, of making that small disciplined choice, adds up over time. Self-discipline also plays a key role in our ability to handle setbacks. Life rarely goes as planned, and obstacles will inevitably come your way. But when you practice self-discipline, you build resilience. Instead of letting challenges knock you off course, you stay focused and adapt. The Stoics were masters at this. They didn't shy away from challenges, they welcomed them. They understood that adversity was an opportunity to practice self-discipline and grow stronger. The obstacles that seem to block your progress are actually the things that help you grow and improve. When you choose to persevere, even when things get tough, you develop the self-discipline that allows you to overcome anything in your path. And it's this resilience, this ability to stick to your goals despite setbacks, that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't. Self-discipline is not about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them head-on and choosing to stay focused no matter what. When you build the muscle of self-discipline, you become unstoppable. Every setback is just a step toward your ultimate goal. Every small, consistent choice adds up to big results. At the end of the day, self-discipline isn't just about saying no to distractions. It's about saying yes to the life you want to create. It's about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. And with every act of self-discipline, no matter how small, you're moving closer to becoming the person you want to be. So remember, self-discipline isn't about being perfect or living a joyless life. It's about making choices that align with your deepest values and long-term goals, and doing it consistently, every single day. 5. Build emotional resilience. Life has a funny way of throwing us curveballs when we least expect it. One moment, everything seems to be going well, and the next, you're facing a challenge that knocks you off balance. It's inevitable. We all go through tough times, whether it's personal loss, failure, conflict, or disappointment. And when it happens, it can feel like the world is caving in. You might feel anger, frustration, sadness, or fear. These emotions can be overwhelming, sometimes even crippling. But here's the thing, while we can't always control the external events in our lives, we can always control how we respond to them. This is where emotional resilience comes in. It's the ability to bounce back, to get back on your feet after life knocks you down. And the Stoics were masters of this. They understood that emotions, while natural, don't have to control us. We can feel them, acknowledge them, but ultimately, we don't have to let them define us. The Stoics believed that we are not our emotions. We are not the anger we feel after an argument, nor the fear we experience when facing uncertainty. Instead, they taught that we are the ones who have control over how we react to those emotions. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This means that our emotional response to an event isn't dictated by the event itself, but by how we choose to interpret it. Imagine a tough situation. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, or a close friend let you down. In that moment, your emotions may flood in. But the Stoics would ask, how are you interpreting this situation? Are you choosing to see it as an insurmountable obstacle or as a challenge that can help you grow? Emotional resilience doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about acknowledging your feelings without letting them dictate your actions. It's natural to feel hurt or angry when life doesn't go as planned, but it's what we do next that matters. Do we let those emotions hijack our decisions, or do we take a step back, reflect, and respond from a place of calm and reason? The key to resilience is learning to pause, just for a moment, before reacting. This pause allows us to reflect on the situation and choose a response that aligns with our values, rather than being swept away by impulse. It's the difference between reacting emotionally and responding thoughtfully. Carl Jung believed that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. What does that have to do with emotional resilience? Well, part of becoming who you truly are means mastering your emotions. When we let our emotions control us, we give away our power. But when we take a step back and choose how to respond, we reclaim that power. Emotional resilience is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about learning to respond to life's difficulties with composure, understanding, and clarity. It's about developing the strength to face challenges without letting them destroy our sense of self or our peace of mind. Think about a time when you faced adversity. Maybe it was a difficult breakup, a tough decision at work, or a health scare. In those moments, your emotions may have run high. It's easy to fall into a pattern of reacting impulsively, lashing out, shutting down, or spiraling into self-doubt. But emotional resilience is about creating space between the emotion and the action. It's about feeling the emotion, really feeling it, without letting it take over your actions. You might feel anger after an argument, but that doesn't mean you have to say something you'll regret. You might feel fear when faced with a new challenge, but that doesn't mean you have to avoid it. Resilience is about meeting life's challenges with a clear mind, a calm heart, and the wisdom to know that this moment, no matter how intense, will pass. Emotional resilience is also about recognizing that adversity is part of the human experience. The Stoics didn't see life's difficulties as something to avoid, but something to embrace. They understood that obstacles are opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the idea that the challenges we face are part of life's natural order. He wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This is a profound perspective. It suggests that the very things that seem to block us are actually the things that help us grow. Every setback, every disappointment, is an opportunity to practice resilience, to learn, and to become stronger. Instead of resenting obstacles, the Stoics encouraged us to embrace them, seeing them as a chance to practice virtues like patience, wisdom, and courage. This mindset shifts our approach to challenges from something negative to something constructive. When we face adversity, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the emotions that come with it, but the Stoic approach encourages us to see these emotions as temporary, passing storms, not permanent states of being. Instead of being defined by the emotions we feel in difficult moments, we can choose to see ourselves as bigger than the situation. It's like when you're caught in a storm. The rain and wind may be fierce, but you're not the storm. You're the person standing in it, holding steady. Emotional resilience is about holding steady, no matter how strong the storm might feel. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. Another important aspect of emotional resilience is learning to be kind to ourselves when things don't go as planned. Too often, we're our harshest critics. When we fail or struggle, we beat ourselves up, as if that will somehow help the situation. But the Stoics knew that self-compassion was key to emotional resilience. They understood that mistakes and failures are part of the learning process. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This quote highlights the tendency we have to exaggerate our struggles. We worry about how bad things could get, even when the actual situation might not be as dire as we imagine. Resilience means facing life's challenges head-on without drowning in self-criticism. It means giving ourselves the grace to fail, learn, and grow, rather than getting stuck in shame or regret. One way to build emotional resilience is by cultivating mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment. When you're mindful, you're not lost in your emotions or overwhelmed by the past or future. You're simply aware of what's happening right now. And when difficult emotions arise, mindfulness allows you to observe them without getting swept away by them. You can feel the anger, sadness, or frustration, but you don't let it control you. Instead of reacting impulsively, mindfulness gives you the space to choose how to respond. This doesn't mean pushing away your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging them without letting them define your actions. The things we repress or ignore in ourselves, our fears, insecurities, and emotional reactions, will continue to control us unless we confront them. Emotional resilience is about becoming aware of these emotions and learning to navigate them with clarity and purpose. It's not about eliminating negative emotions. It's about understanding them and not letting them drive our decisions. Ultimately, emotional resilience is about finding balance. It's about accepting that we will face difficulties and feel intense emotions, but that we don't have to be consumed by them. It's about learning to ride the waves of life with grace, without letting the ups and downs toss us around. The Stoics didn't teach us to avoid emotions. They taught us to approach them with wisdom. They believed that we can feel deeply without being controlled by our feelings. This balance between feeling and reason is the cornerstone of emotional resilience. When life gets tough, remember, you don't have to be defined by your emotions. You can feel them, understand them, and move forward. Emotional resilience is not about being immune to pain or hardship. It's about knowing that you have the strength to overcome them, time and time again. Just like the Stoics taught us, adversity is an opportunity to grow. Embrace it, learn from it, and come out stronger on the other side. 6. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Have you ever really thought about your own mortality? Not in a fearful or depressing way, but in a way that motivates you to live more fully? We tend to live our lives as if we have all the time in the world, don't we? We procrastinate, we put things off, we take people for granted. But deep down, we know that life is fragile. We know that time is limited. So, why do we keep acting as though we have endless time to get things right? This is where the Stoic practice of memento mori comes into play. It's a practice that reminds us, remember, you will die. Now, I know it sounds a little morbid at first, but bear with me. When we truly embrace the idea that life is short, we stop wasting time on the trivial. We start focusing on what truly matters, and it radically changes the way we live. Memento mori isn't about living in fear or obsessing over death. In fact, quite the opposite. It's about living with intention and purpose. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the idea of death. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is a profound reminder to live each day as if it were our last, not in a reckless, hedonistic way, but in a way that encourages us to focus on what's really important: our relationships, our health, and our happiness. By acknowledging that time is limited, we begin to make better choices, not just in how we spend our time, but in how we treat others and how we show up in the world. When you think about it, death is one of the few things in life that's certain. No one knows exactly when their time will come, but we do know that it will. And that knowledge, while sobering, can actually be empowering. It can shift your entire perspective on life. Instead of putting things off, you start asking yourself, what really matters? What are the things you want to accomplish before you run out of time? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? When we remember that our time is finite, we stop getting caught up in the distractions and trivial concerns that so often dominate our daily lives. Instead, we focus on living in a way that aligns with our deepest values. To truly embrace the idea that life is short, we have to come to terms with who we are right now. We have to accept ourselves as we are, with all our flaws and imperfections, and live in alignment with our true selves. The Stoics believed that by reflecting on our mortality, we are forced to confront the transient nature of life, which in turn helps us live more authentically. When we remember that time is limited, we stop wasting it on things that don't matter and start living with greater purpose and intention. But let's be clear, memento mori isn't just about focusing on the end of life. It's about using that awareness to make the most of the present. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we don't have time to waste. When we reflect on death, we're not supposed to become paralyzed by fear or anxiety. Instead, we're encouraged to take control of the time we do have. We become more intentional with our actions, more present with the people we love, and more focused on what we want to achieve. It's about appreciating each moment and not allowing the little things that irritate or distract us to steal our joy. The idea of memento mori also forces us to think about our relationships. Think about how much time we spend on things that don't matter, scrolling through social media, arguing over trivial issues, or getting caught up in drama. Now think about the people in your life, your family, your friends, your loved ones. How much time do you spend with them? How often do you express how much you care? Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." In other words, we are not our bodies. We are the soul, the spirit. The body is just a vessel, temporary and fleeting. By remembering that our time here is short, we start to appreciate the people who matter most to us. We stop taking them for granted. We start showing up for them in a way that reflects their importance in our lives. By practicing memento mori, we're not only reminded of our own mortality, but we're also reminded to cherish the moments we have with others. It's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle of daily life, to be consumed by work obligations or our personal goals. But when we remember that time is limited, we begin to prioritize the things that truly matter. We make time for the people we love. We reach out to friends and family. We let go of petty grievances and focus on building meaningful connections. Every moment with the people we care about becomes more precious when we acknowledge that we won't have forever with them. And when we live with this awareness, we become more present, more connected, and more grateful for the time we have. The practice of memento mori also leads us to a deeper sense of gratitude. The more we reflect on the brevity of life, the more we appreciate the little things, the warmth of the sun on our face, the taste of our favorite meal, the sound of a loved one's voice. These simple joys take on a new meaning when we realize how fleeting they are. Instead of rushing through our days, we start savoring each moment, appreciating the beauty of the present. And it's in this appreciation that we find real happiness, not in the pursuit of more things, but in the enjoyment of what's right in front of us. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When we embrace memento mori, we stop wasting time on things that don't matter. We stop holding grudges, putting off our dreams, or getting caught in the cycle of stress and anxiety. We begin to live intentionally with an understanding that every day is a gift. This doesn't mean we need to become obsessed with death. It simply means we should be mindful of the fact that our time here is limited. And when we live with this awareness, we live more fully. We stop waiting for someday and start acting today. We take risks, we pursue our passions, and we cherish our relationships. The truth is, none of us know how much time we have. We don't know if tomorrow will come, or if our loved ones will be there when we need them. That's why it's so important to live with intention and purpose, to appreciate the present moment, and to use the time we have to become the people we want to be. The practice of memento mori reminds us that death is not something to fear. It's something to embrace as a motivator to live our best lives. It's a call to stop procrastinating, stop waiting for the perfect moment, and start making the most of the time we have. When you remember that life is short, you stop sweating the small stuff. You stop getting bogged down by things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Instead, you focus on what truly matters: your relationships, your health, your passions, and your purpose. You start living with greater gratitude, with more presence, and with more intentionality. And in doing so, you make the most of the time you have, leaving a legacy that's defined by love, meaning, and fulfillment. The practice of memento mori is not about fearing death. It's about using the awareness of life's brevity to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to embrace every moment as a precious gift. 7. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a word we toss around when someone holds the door open or hands us our coffee. It's more than a polite gesture. It's a practice, And not just a practice we do once in a while, but something we can weave into our everyday lives. In fact, practicing gratitude can transform the way we experience the world. But what exactly does it mean to cultivate gratitude? It's not simply about saying thank you when things go well. It's about being aware of all the good things in our lives, both big and small, and taking a moment each day to truly appreciate them. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They knew that true happiness isn't about acquiring more. It's about appreciating what we already have. If we stop for a moment, it's clear that gratitude is not just a nice sentiment. It's a powerful tool that can shift our mindset and help us find peace in even the most challenging times. When we think about gratitude, we often picture moments of joy or special occasions, holidays, birthdays, big life milestones. But gratitude doesn't need to be saved for these moments. It can be found in the everyday. The Stoics taught us that we should appreciate the present, no matter how ordinary it seems. Every day we have the chance to experience life, and that in itself is a gift. If we're constantly focused on what's missing or what we don't have, we miss out on the countless things we could be grateful for right now. Gratitude doesn't have to be reserved for big achievements. It can be found in the small, everyday moments that make life worth living. Take a moment right now and think about the little things in your life that bring you comfort or joy. Maybe it's the warmth of your bed when you wake up, or the feeling of a hot cup of coffee in your hands. Maybe it's a conversation with a friend or a family member, or the quiet moments when you can just be with yourself. It could be the feeling of sunlight on your skin, or the sound of your favorite music playing in the background. These small moments are easy to overlook, especially in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But if we stop and really notice them, we realize just how much we have to be grateful for. Gratitude isn't about waiting for the big, life-changing moments. It's about recognizing the beauty in the present, even in the simplest things. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." This is where gratitude and self-acceptance intersect. When we learn to appreciate what we have, we stop constantly striving for more, trying to prove our worth by acquiring things or achieving goals. Instead, we learn to accept ourselves and our lives just as they are. This shift in perspective is liberating. By practicing gratitude, we cultivate a sense of contentment that frees us from the pressure to always be doing more or having more. We learn to appreciate the life we've been given, just as it is. In Stoic thought, happiness doesn't come from external circumstances, wealth, or success. It comes from within. The Stoics believed that by cultivating gratitude, we can find peace, regardless of what's happening around us. True abundance is found in appreciating what we already have. If we are constantly seeking more things, more recognition, more achievements, we will never feel truly fulfilled. But if we learn to find joy in what we already possess, we unlock a deeper sense of happiness that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. True happiness is a choice, not a result of what we have, but a result of how we see and appreciate the world around us. Gratitude also has a profound effect on our relationships. When we take the time to reflect on the people in our lives, our friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers who show us kindness, we begin to notice the positive impact they have on our well-being. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to forget how much others contribute to our happiness. But when we pause and express gratitude for the people who make our lives better, we strengthen those relationships. We deepen our connection with others and create a positive, nurturing environment for ourselves. The Stoics understood that we are social creatures and our relationships with others are essential to our well-being. When we talk about cultivating gratitude, it's important to remember that this practice isn't just about the good times. It's also about finding gratitude in the hard times. Life is full of challenges, and it's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what's wrong, what's difficult, or what's missing. But the Stoics taught us that adversity can be a source of growth. When faced with obstacles, we have an opportunity to practice resilience and to be grateful for the strength we develop in the process. Every setback, every hardship is a chance to grow, to become stronger, and to appreciate the lessons that life offers us. This doesn't mean we ignore the pain or difficulties we experience. It simply means we recognize that these experiences can teach us valuable lessons if we choose to see them that way. Gratitude also plays a significant role in our mental and emotional health. Studies in positive psychology show that people who practice gratitude regularly experience lower levels of stress and depression and higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. When we focus on what we are grateful for, we shift our attention away from negativity, worry, and anxiety. This doesn't mean we ignore challenges or pretend everything is perfect. It means we consciously choose to focus on the positive aspects of our lives, no matter how small they may seem. When we focus on what we have, rather than what we don't have, we begin to see the abundance around us, and that abundance nurtures our well-being. But cultivating gratitude isn't always easy, especially when life gets tough. It's easy to slip into a mindset of scarcity, where we focus on what's missing or what's going wrong. But here's the truth. Gratitude is a practice, not an automatic response. It requires intentionality. It requires us to actively seek out the good in our lives, even when it feels difficult. One of the simplest ways to cultivate gratitude is to start a daily gratitude practice. Each morning or evening, take a moment to reflect on what you're thankful for. It could be something as simple as a good cup of coffee or a kind word from a friend. It could be a big accomplishment or a moment of peace. By making gratitude a daily habit, we train our minds to focus on the positive, and over time, this practice can rewire our brains to see the world through a lens of abundance. Freedom, according to Seneca, comes from cultivating virtues like gratitude, which allow us to control our reactions to life's challenges. When we choose to focus on gratitude, we take control of our emotional responses. We refuse to be swept away by negative thinking or by the external events that are beyond our control. Instead, we anchor ourselves in the present moment and in the things that truly matter. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to choose how we respond to life and in the power to see the world with gratitude. At the end of the day, cultivating gratitude is about more than just feeling thankful. It's about living a life that reflects that thankfulness. It's about choosing to see the good in ourselves, in others, and in the world around us. It's about appreciating what we have right now, rather than constantly longing for what we don't have. And when we practice gratitude, we transform our lives. We become more present, more connected, and more fulfilled. In the words of Epictetus, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. By cultivating gratitude, we open the door to a life of greater peace, joy, and meaning. 8. Practice compassion and empathy. Have you ever considered the idea that the act of being kind to others can be a source of strength, not just for the people you help, but for yourself as well? In a world where we often feel the pressure to compete, achieve, and move forward at all costs, it's easy to forget the value of simply showing compassion to others. But when you take a step back and really think about it, compassion is more than just a feel-good emotion. It's a cornerstone of what it means to live a meaningful and virtuous life. The Stoics knew this well. They believed that a life of virtue wasn't just about personal growth or inner peace. It was about contributing positively to the world around you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." In other words, if you're not contributing to the well-being of others, you're not truly fulfilling your purpose.